Dear friends, Jai Bhim Namo Buddhaya. I am going to tell you about the Buddhist belief in astrology and fortune telling and charms. Buddhist attitude towards astrology. The question most people ask is whether Buddhism accepts or rejects astrology. Strictly speaking, the Buddha did not make any direct pronouncement on this subject because, as in many other cases, he stated that discussion on matters such as these do not pertain to spiritual development. Buddhism, unlike some other religions, does not condemn astrology, and people are free to use the knowledge they can get from it to make their lives more meaningful. However, if we study the Buddha's teaching carefully, we find we will come to accept that a proper and intelligent understanding of astrology can be a useful tool. There is a direct link between the life of an individual human being and the vast workings of the cosmos. Modern science is in accordance with the teachings of Buddhism. We know, for example, that there is a close link between the movement of the moon and of our own behavior. This is seen especially among mentally disturbed and abnormally violent people. It is also true that certain sicknesses like asthma and bronchitis are aggravated when the moon waxes. There is therefore sufficient basis for us to believe that other planets can also influence our lives. Buddhism accepts that there is an immense cosmic energy which pulsates through every living thing, including plants. This energy interacts with the karmic energy which an individual generates and determines the course that a life will take. I would repeat this last slide. This energy interacts with the karmic energy which an individual generates and determines the course that a life will take. The birth of an individual is not the first creation of a life, but the continuation of one that had always existed and will continue to exist so long as the karmic energy is not quelled through final liberation in the unconditioned state. Now, for a life to manifest itself in a new existence, certain factors, namely seasons, germinal order, and nature, must be fulfilled. These are supported by mental energy and karmic energy, and all these elements are in constant interaction and interdependent with each other, resulting in constant changes to a human being's life. According to astrologers, the time at which a person is born is predetermined by the cosmic energy and the karmic energy. Hence, it can be concluded that life is not merely accidental. It is the result of the interaction between an individual's karma and universal energy force. The course of a human life is predetermined, caused partly by a being's own actions in the past and the energies that activate the cosmos. Once started, a life is controlled by the interaction between these two forces even to the moment at which a birth takes place. A skillful astrologer then, as one who understands cosmic as well as karmic influence, can chart the course of one's life based on the moment of the person's birth. While we are, in one sense, at the mercy of these forces, the the Buddha has pointed out a way through which we can escape its influence. Please listen this carefully. All karmic energies are stored in the subconscious mind, normally described as mental purities and impurities. Since karmic forces influence one's destiny, a person can develop his mind and negate certain evil influences caused by previous bad karma. A bad karma means work done mentally or physically. A person can also purify his mind and rid himself of all karmic energies and thus prevent rebirth. When there is no rebirth, there is no potential life, and there will consequently be no future existence which can predicate or chart it. At such a stage of spiritual and mental development, one will have transcended the need to know about his life because most imperfections and unsatisfactoriness would have been removed. A highly developed human being will have no will have no need for a horoscope. Please listen this once more. A highly developed human being will have no need for a horoscope. And this is what a highly developed human being is, the stress of Buddhism. Now please listen this. Since the beginning of the 20th century, psychologists and psychiatrists have come to recognize that there is much more to the human mind than the hardcore materialists have been ready to accept. There is more to do, there is more to the world that can be seen and touched. The famous Swiss psychologist Carl Jung used to cast the horoscopes of his patients. On one occasion, when he made an astrological analysis of about 500 marriages, he discovered that the findings of Ptolemy on which the findings of the Ptolemy on which modern Western astrology is based were still valid, that favorable aspects between the sun and the moon of the different partners did produce happy marriages. The well-known French psychologist Michael Gauguin, who originally held a negative view of astrology, made a survey of about 20,000 horoscopical analyses and found to his surprise that the characteristics of the persons studied coincided with the characterization produced by modern psychological methods. The planting of certain flowers, trees, and vegetables at different times of a year will produce differences in strength or appearance of the plants. So there is no reason to doubt that people born in certain times of the year will have different characteristics from people born at other times. By knowing his weaknesses, failures, and shortcomings, a man can do his best to overcome them and make himself a better and more useful person to society. It will also help him a great deal to get rid of unhappiness and disappointments. Shakespeare says, "The fault is not in our stars but in ourselves." A well known astrologer has said, "The stars impel, they do not compel." St. Thomas Aquinas says, "The planets influence the more elemental part of man than passion, but through his intellect man can arrange his life in harmony with the planets and also cultivate his inherent talents and manipulate them for his betterment." Astrology cannot automatically solve all your problems. You must do that yourself. Just like a doctor who can diagnose the nature of disease, an astrologer can only show certain aspects of your life and character. After that, it is left to you to adjust your way of life. Of course, the task will be made easier knowing what it is you are up against. Some people are too dependent on astrology. They run to the astrologer every time something happens or if they have a dream. Remember, even today, astrology is very much an imperfect science, and even the best astrologers can make serious mistakes. Use astrology intelligently, just as you make use just as you would use any tool which would make your life more comfortable and more enjoyable. Above all, beware of fake astrologers who are out to cheat you by telling you not the truth but what you want to hear. Do not expect good luck to come to you or be handed to you easily without any effort on your part. If you want to reap the harvest, you must sow the seed and it must be the right seed. Remember, opportunity knocks at the door, but never break the lock to gain entrance. Let us see what this book says about fortune telling and charms. Fortune telling and charms. Hard work is the luckiest star. I think this line is the essence. Hard work is the luckiest star. Although Buddhism does not refute belief in deities, spirits, astrology, and fortune telling, the Buddha's advice was that people should not be slaves to any of those forces. A good Buddhist can overcome all his difficulties if he knows how to make use of his intelligence and willpower. The above mentioned beliefs have no spiritual significance or value. Man can overcome all his problems and difficulties by his own efforts and not through the medium of deities, spirits, astrology, or fortune telling. In one of the Buddhist Jatak stories, the Bodhisattva said, "The fool may watch for lucky days, yet luck he shall always miss. The luck itself is luck's own star. What can mere stars achieve?" He believed that hard work was the luckiest star. He believed that the hard work was the luckiest star and one should not waste time by consulting stars and lucky days in order to achieve success. To do your best to help yourself is better than to rely solely on the stars or external sources. Although some Buddhists practice fortune telling and dispense some forms of charms or amulets under the guise of religion, the Buddha at no time encouraged anyone to practice such things. Like fortune telling, charms come under the category of superstition and have no religious values. Yet there are many people today who, because of sickness and misfortunes, attribute the cause of their illness and ill luck to the power of charms. When the cause of certain sicknesses and misfortunes cannot be ascertained or traced, many people tend to believe that their problems are due to charms or some other external causes. They have forgotten that they are now living in the 20th century. This is the modern age of science, of scientific development and achievement. Our leading scientists have thrown aside many superstitious beliefs and they have even placed men on the moon. All sicknesses owe their origin to either mental or physical causes. In Shakespeare, Macbeth asked a doctor if there was any medicine that could cure his wife, and the doctor replied, "More needs she the divine than the physician." What he meant was that some diseases could only be cured if the mind was purified. Some severe mental disorders manifest themselves in a physical manner, ulcers, stomach aches, and so on. Of course, diseases are purely physical and can be cured by competent doctor. And finally, some inexplicable disorders could be caused by what Buddhists call the reaping of karmic fruit. This means this means we would have to pay for some evil deed that we have committed in a past life. If we can understand this, in, in the case of some incurable diseases, we can bear it with great patience, knowing its real cause. People who cannot be cured of their sicknesses are advised to consult a medical specialist and obtain specialized attention. If after having gone through a medical checkup a person still feels in need of attention, then he may want to seek spiritual guidance from a proper religious teacher. Buddhists are strongly advised against falling into the miserable pit of superstitious beliefs and allowing the mind to be troubled by unnecessary and unfounded fears. Cultivate a strong willpower by refusing to believe in the influence of charms. A short meditation course may also be proved very helpful to clear the mind of unwholesome thoughts. Meditation leads to the purification of the mind. A purified mind automatically leads to a purified and healthy body. The Buddhism is a soothing balm to get rid of sickness of this nature. This topic ends here. It was from this book, What Buddhists Believe. It is written by K. Sri Dhammanand. See, what I would like to tell about these things to you. What came into my mind after reading particularly the Buddhist texts. Buddhist texts, the Buddhist thought, they stresses on the mental energy and your calm. That is what you do mentally or physically. So it is these forces, and they are also saying that even if there is an astrology, even if the planets, the moon, the sun, they may be responsible for our growth, but still what we receive at the end is our karmic force. What we receive at the end is what we does. If we do bad things, we receive bad force. If we do good, we receive good force, and get our life according to that. Now you tell me that what would be the better way to make this thing, to repair your mental energy, to repair your karmic force, to make it a better. There may be some stones. You can put stones in your fingers, and or you can put you can do any charms or anything. They may have impact, but will you become a capable human being, a capable person who can deal with the who can deal with the negative thoughts? Suppose if you are a person who always thinks about bad things, and you have misfortune, and you are taking help of astrology or chanting. Of course you may have some impact of that, but you won't be able to repair that permanently. You won't be able to make yourself permanently unless until you purify your thoughts, unless until you make your mental energy purified, unless until you become a positive person, unless until you start thinking about good things, you start doing good things. Once you do those things, there is no need for astrology, there is no need for chanting for you. But as Dhammanand ji is saying, that of course if it is a science, then we can develop that science and use it cautiously. That is the thing. We may use it for cultivation, we may use it for some other things. It is no wrong in using using it as a science, but that is a different thing from a human being. For a human being, I think it is better if we develop our own mental energies by the moral law which Buddha says. One more thing which I would like to add. See, I heard about this thing, that the concept of karma in Buddhism, in Hinduism, the concept of karma also says that if you do good things, for example, if you do some good things, and if you are negative by thought, that good thing can affect. But what I heard on Buddhism, that it is main thing is your thought, which should be purified. Sometimes you may be, for example, like you are a poor person, you want to donate to another poor person, you want to donate to animals, but you don't have money to donate. But your thought is pure, your thought is good. That is your also a karma, that you are thinking good. And that affects your life. That I heard in the concept of karma in Buddhism. So finally, I would like to say that one more thing, that he has given example of one astrologer, that related to some marriages. See, not only because of marriages, what I have found, that most of the time there are a lot of things we have to work on our mental level, we have to work on our knowledge level. Once our mental energy, once our thoughts, once our knowledge increases, then we can easily understand other people. Once we become less arrogant, then we can easily understand another people. So these things can be cultivated even without any natal chart, even without any birth chart or using any astrology. So and if you keep you if you stress is more on astrology, then surely you will never be able to understand another human being. You will never be able to become a knowledgeable person. So better as a human being, don't use astrology. Use it intelligently, only for other things like helping our scientists maybe, or helping our agriculture. That I would like to say. Thank you very much. Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya.